Good evening, good evening. Hello, everyone. I hope you're all doing well. Hope you had a good weekend. I'm going to continue carving. Hopefully, finish off as much of these. Hopefully, finish off the crabs this evening, and then we can move on down to these rocks. Get this block finished. But first of all, how is everyone? What's everyone been up to? Happy birthday, George. I hope you're having a great day. Hello, Caballero. It always is, isn't it? I think any birthday past about 10 years old ends up being about the same. But happy birthday nonetheless. I hope you're having a good day and relaxing. Hello, Nigel. How are you? Good evening. I must apologise for looking so dishevelled, and if I'm a bit quiet and stuff today. That's exactly it, George. We can all be very thankful for having, for all getting a chance at having another birthday, and here's to many more. But yeah, I apologise if I'm a bit tired and a bit off today. I had a rescheduled climbing lesson, and it was a rather brutal one. I'm a bit pooped. I'm a bit tired this evening. I do apologise if I sneeze. I feel like I've got a sneeze coming on, but it's not happening. There it is. Excuse me. George, how are you finding carving the Yoshitoshi block? Is there anything that you find particularly challenging, or is there anything about the line work that you're particularly enjoying? Considering I'm planning this Yoshitoshi series, any sort of beta information and stuff would be pretty interesting. And as always, if anyone has any specific questions about any aspect of woodblock printmaking or anything, just pop it up in the chat, and I will answer as I go. If there's anything that you think I might be able to demonstrate or something, then do let me know. My order of blocks and stuff should be here very soon. So 2 things I can do with that: I can start filming for the the block making video, and also actually start carving the 4th Patreon print, which is gonna sort of come down to the wire, considering the blocks aren't quite here yet. Are we there? I just got a chat disconnected notification. Are we alright? Someone can let me know. Hello. We should be back. Hopefully that's the end of it. Fingers crossed. I don't know what else to do with this. I'm going to have to work out getting a cable run upstairs to the studio. See if that can fix the issue. I do apologise, everyone. It's very unprofessional for it to keep dying like this. I'll make sure by Thursday that that I've got a cable that runs upstairs, and see if that can fix the issue. If not, I'll have to figure something else out. I am indeed on Wi-Fi, yeah. But the router is directly below me, so I have, yeah, I am only on 2 bars on my phone, so yeah, I'm gonna have to run an Ethernet cable upstairs, get that figured out. Anyway, back to Eric. What are you printing at the moment then? That's large. What size is large? Yeah, it would. Yeah, at least it would provide some sort of stable connection. I'll make sure. I promise you guys, I'll make sure I'll have that sorted by Thursday. Sorry. Hi Ben, how are you? Eric, what pigment are you using? Are you using Sumi? Are you just using black Sumi to print your large black area? Or are you using something else? Printing solid black is very, very, very tough. It's probably, you've probably picked one of the single hardest types of impression that you could make. But there are ways around it. So you're using Sumi, yeah, so that's fine. So there's a couple of fixes for that. Number one, don't use the Sumi ink straight out the bottle, just sort of raw. Dilute it very slightly, add a slight amount of water to it. That will allow it to move around a little bit more. And I assume you're using paste, like nori or rice paste or something to allow the pigment to be smoothed out. If it's coming out speckled, there's maybe a few different things that are happening there. So when you're printing, it could be that it is too dry. And is it coming off in a sort of very mottled effect? So for example, can we see? Excuse the roughness. Is it coming off and looking like this? Is it looking mottled, sort of speckled like this grey colour here? If so, that would indicate maybe a slight lack of paste and too much water on the block. Another thing you can try is using a little bit of gum arabic. Mix that into the slightly diluted Sumi, and that will sort of make the ink. So Sumi is essentially like a glue. and it dries very hard. If you've ever left, anyone that's ever left their sort of little thing of sumi out overnight accidentally, will know that it dries rock hard. And by adding a little bit of gum arabic to that, it sort of gives it a little bit more viscosity, if that's the right word. And another thing you can try, and this is very common with very dark colours, is to do it over multiple impressions. So take 2 impressions at 50% of the colour. So don't try and take a solid black impression twice. Do 2 impressions at 50% strength, if that makes sense. For example, the alien print that I did with Jed, that's how I did that really dark gradient in the bottom. The indigo mixed with black. I did that by taking that impression twice on each gradient to get the colour really solid. Taking the solid black sumi impressions is really, really hard, and there's many factors that would go into it. I would say before you rush out and start buying things like gum arabic and stuff, as you're test printing, make notes on the amount of water that is in the block. Vary the amounts of water, sort of impression to impression. The brush could have a little bit too much water in it. Sumi is quite hard to notice how much it's sort of drying on the block as well. With other pigments, you can sort of see that it's not spread around and it's maybe drying in certain areas uneven. Whereas sumi, because it stains the whole block black, it can sort of give the impression that it's fully covered and at the right sort of moisture level, when in actual fact the block itself could be too dry. But yeah, my biggest sort of pointer to give to you would be to try doing the impression in a couple of goes. Do it in a couple of takes, and that's sort of the easiest way to handle the to be able to handle the variables. Is it just a single colour print that is one solid plane of black, or are there other colours dotted in and around? Yeah, dark colours are really, really hard to print solid. They nearly always need a base colour to allow them to sort of stick and stay solid. And usually it's like, so for example, say you were doing a solid indigo colour. So this print here, for example, has quite a dark background, and the rocks and stuff in the front are very dark as well. And it will be impossible for me to get a solid colour down on this background and on these rocks that is a dark colour. So they'll be based. Everything on this print, bar the crabs and the rock, will be based in a sort of really pale, like teal colour. And then those rocks will be based in a very pale brown. And then my darker colours can go on top of that because I created a good base for it. So yeah, another thing to point out to you, Eric, would be don't try and take the the two impressions, if you're going to go the route of trying to print the black over multiple impressions, don't do them back to back. Fit some other colours in. Say it's a large black background area and then you have a little piece in the middle. Do that piece in the middle. So do the black, leave it overnight in the freezer or however you're doing that. Don't let the paper dry out, obviously. Do your little space the next day. Then on the third day, do that solid black again. If you try and do it back to back, you'll be adding way too much moisture into the paper. And couple that with the amount of moisture that's going to be coming from the black, you could experience bleeds in the black. Black can bleed if the variables of paste are not sort of really spot on, really accurate, and you could experience warping of the paper. The paper could sort of expand, and you would you'd have real issues with your registration there. But if you need any more pointers, if you still require a bit more help, do DM me on Instagram or something like that, and send me some pictures of the blocks you're working with and the rounds of sort of tests and stuff that you've got, and I'll see if I can help any further. I'm only sort of able to give vague pointers at the moment, but yeah, black it's fairly dependent on what type of paper you're printing on. What is the paper that you're printing on, if I can ask that, please? Do you know if it's sized already, or are you sizing it yourself? Is it a Western paper or is it a Japanese paper? Yeah, there is also that. I don't own a ball bearing Baron, but I've seen them in use, and they do look like they can take a pretty mean impression. I don't know why I've never purchased one. I probably should. The trouble with printing is the same problem. You can have the same sort of problems by having too much moisture in the paper or the block or whatever as you could with too little, and you can have the same problems if there's too much paste as opposed to too little paste. Printing, unfortunately, is, while someone can give you tons and tons of pointers and information and all that stuff, it's such a case of experience and sort of developing an ability to be able to recognise issues and troubleshoot whilst working. It is just about getting the reps in and stuff. And then when you sort of have a reasonable level of experience and sort of confidence in what you're doing, then information given to you will be much more effective. And Speedball Mulberry, it's a thin paper, no sizing. But I haven't heard of it. So it's a mulberry paper. It could possibly be pulp based, as opposed to, it could be a mixture of kozo fibre and pulp. No sizing specifications. So my advice would be, in the daylight, sort of hold it semi-horizontally up to the window. If you see a tiny little bit of sparkle in the paper, just a tiny little bit, then you'll know that that's been sized. That could be a problem that you are having. If you are unsure, contact the supplier and ask them. If it's not sized, then I can help you there. I can also recommend as well, if you don't want to really break the bank, I can recommend Awagami. They have a range, Kozo plus bamboo. I know Laura Boswell prints on bamboo paper and she doesn't have issues. If you can find out the sizing, if there is a sizing specification, if the manufacturer or the place you bought it from does have that, if it's not sized, then let me know, and I can I do have, I'm not sure if it's archived on here, you have to click back through, but I do have a stream, I'm pretty sure there is a stream where I sized my paper, and I do give the specifications of the size I'm using excuse me, and a fairly good sort of step by step of the process and stuff, and that can really help you. That can really help push the impressions you're taking sort of to the next level there. But let me know, and I'll do all I can to sort of help out there. George says, how many grades of Baron? So I have 3 Barons. So I have a fine, a medium, and a heavy. They're all Hon Barons. Are they? My medium's a Murasaki Baron, and my heavy and my fine are both Hon Barons. To be honest, I don't really use the medium too much. Every so often I do. I get the most use from obviously any key blocks. Generally when I'm doing prints for Jed, I end up with multiple key blocks, so I get a good lot of use out of the fine Baron, and I find that the heavier Baron, it's because of it being sort of the highest end of Baron that you can get, it's a lot more versatile. Just by virtue of how it's made and the sort of the mastery of the craftsman that's gone into it. So the majority of my impressions, because we want really good solid impressions and stuff, is done with my heavier Baron. But I do use the medium one every so often when I need to. If sort of spot colours and things like that where it needs a smaller area and I don't want to sort of hammer the paper down. Hon Baron. Hon means, what's Hon? Is Hon new? I think Hon might mean new. Basically Hon Baron, when you look at it, it's the sort of in quite a crass way. It's the most expensive type of Baron. So the Murasaki Baron that you would see most generally, they cost maybe a couple of $100, and they are made with a twine, like a. So the hold on, let me just grab my Baron. So, this is my heavier Baron. So inside, and you can see a little bit here, there is a bamboo cord. And it's loads and loads and loads of fine threads of bamboo that have been braided together to make a sort of like rope. And that's then in a spiral inside this disc. And this disc is then backed and stuff, lacquered, and then we tie it around it. The Murasaki Baron is the is it the Atagawa? I think it's called. The coil of fibre is actually a twine. It's a thread, as opposed to the actual bamboo leaf. So they make the fibre out of this bamboo leaf, strip it down, and braid that together, and that's what really adds to the price, is that it needs a master to sit and braid all of the cord, all of the bamboo fibre together into a rope, and then twirl that all up and turn it into the Baron. And they can take upwards of about a year to produce. And the Murasaki Baron, you will be able to get, by no means will you ever need to really purchase a Murasaki Baron, a Hon Baron. You can get by on almost everything. Yeah, so you probably have a Murasaki Baron, and I guarantee you'll get through your entire printing life just using a Murasaki Baron, and no one will ever tell that you have used it and not used a Hon Baron. It's just that tiny sort of X%, that tiny extra percentage that the Hon Baron will give you. And I had the cash to purchase it, and my own personal goal, it's not to say anyone else is wrong in any way for having a Murasaki Baron or whatever, or don't want to spend that money, but my personal goal is to do everything at the absolute sort of pinnacle of what I can do. So my view is I want to purchase the absolute best tools that I can, and use the absolute best materials that I can. So that's why I purchased it. But by no means do you specifically need a Hon Baron to make incredible prints with. Sorry, that was a bit of a ramble there. Yeah, that's it. That's it, George. So I had quite a quite good year on the tax there. I didn't pay a lot for that year. So George has put a description of the paper. Neutral pH, made in Thailand. Yeah. See, I'm not very familiar with that type of paper, so I can't give any specific comment on it. But as for a paper recommendation, I can recommend Awagami Factory. and they have a paper. It's rather thick. It's very. It will make nice prints for you though. Is it Shiramine? Shiramine? Shiramine. I'm not sure if it comes sized or not. You would have to ask them themselves. They have very good English correspondence levels, and they ship all over the place very, very efficiently. They're very well respected. I can highly recommend using them. They can, if you do have other questions, they will gladly answer and help in whatever way that they can. And as for sizing and stuff, I think you can get that paper on the roll as well, so it's sort of a little bit more cost effective. As for sizing and stuff, I do, where possible, and if you do really, really want to make the best prints you can, I would recommend learning to size, teaching yourself to size. There's a lot of different outcomes that you can create by the certain types of sizing that you can do on the paper, and I can explain that and help as much as I can very soon. As soon as I've finished the avatar blocks and stuff like that, within the next week or so, we're going to have a sizing stream, and then there'll be another one for this, and I can give a pretty good explanation of my process, how I size paper and stuff, and I can recommend materials, brushes, and things like that. But by sizing your own paper, you are, that's one more variable you can sort of knock out there. If you're buying paper that's sized by the manufacturer, see, being heavily sized, so if this paper's heavily sized, that will be very hard for that pigment to penetrate into the paper, and that will account for some blotchiness and stuff. And my view is, if you can remove one more thing that could go wrong through a manufacturer or an outside, a third party that would be doing one of the tasks for you, if you can remove that variable and take that upon yourself, when things inevitably do go wrong, because they always do, and that's just how sort of this job goes, then you can, it's much easier to look at yourself and things, change how you're working and change your approach and your process, as it is to then go and try out another different type of paper or another manufacturer or something like that. If you could, the more things that you can take on and do yourself, the easier it will make it, the easier it will sort of aid your progress and stuff, especially with the sizing, because there's no one left that does size really like that anymore. I don't think any of the big workshops in Tokyo are sending their paper out to size anymore. I think almost all of them are probably doing it themselves now. It's all out of stock. Okay, well, my advice would be then to just contact Awagami directly and ask for some recommendations of Kozo paper, specifically for Mokuhanga, and ask their opinion on what they think would be best for you. Unfortunately, the paper that I use, we place an order at one point in the year, and it's produced for us, and it's the same paper that Dave uses and stuff, and I don't want to say they're particular about who they sell to and stuff, but it sort of comes with recommendation and things like that, and they like to receive a certain order each year to sort of make it worthwhile for them, so they know that they have the year planned out for them. And we do have a guaranteed amount that we can give them each year. But Awagami make very good paper. That's who I'd go straight to if our paper and stuff that we use now, if that all went tomorrow, Awagami would be the next place that I would approach. George, do you know what paper McLean's stock? Yeah, George knows far more than I about what's in stock in North America and who has what. I would assume though that if Awagami's Shiramine or Shiramine, whatever it's called, is currently out of stock, then they are in the process of producing new stock. So I'd sort of keep an eye out for that and maybe contact them if you do want to try. They do sample packs and stuff as well, so you can try out a few different ones. I'm quite sure that's what me and Laura Boswell will be using for the print that we're collaborating on. Oh, that's great. Yeah, maybe contacting McLean's would be better than. It would certainly cut out the shipping costs and time. Oh, that's good. Yeah, it is great paper. Yeah, George. That would be my go-to. Depending on how fine you're intending to print, you may need to calendar it slightly. But that's all sort of dependent on what you're trying to do with the paper and sort of how deep you're carving and things like that. Right, okay guys, we're nearly there on this block. Hopefully this face will just do this in one session. That'll be the last session on the block. I'll do all the clearing, everything, and then we will do that last face, that last little bit. But I'm going to call it here now, guys. I'll be back on Thursday, same time as usual. Excuse me, sorry. We will continue on. We should, quite possible, we should get all of this done on Thursday. If I come in a bit more awake and a bit more lively, we should get through all this. This isn't too complicated at all. Then I can get all the clearing out and stuff done in my spare time, and then hopefully next Tuesday we will do the face. We'll finish that off. No problem, Eric. If you have any other questions and stuff, just we've sort of got all the information here for the paper and that. When you're at that point, if you need any tips with sort of sizing, or you want to send me any of the impressions and stuff you're taking at the moment, along with sort of the equipment you use in Baron and things like that, then I can try and give you a few more sort of targeted pointers and things like that. But just let me know, either pop it in an email or DM on Instagram or something, and I'll see what I can do for you. But and thanks, George, for all the sort of search ups, Google searches and things like that you've done. That's been great. Thank you. But thank you everyone for joining, sticking with me through the blips and stuff. I'll make sure for Thursday that we've got a cable of some description plugged in and try and see if that fixes it and creates a bit more of a stable connection for us. But other than that, thank you very much everyone. Stay safe and have a great week, and I will see you all Thursday same time. Bye bye.